So, yep. So this is, we walk
That
in
looks,
with cardio stuff. And then we'll be going straight back into the hallway here, and this is the studio space we'll use.
it's a large space, huh?
Huh? It's
It's
not that big. It's about a third of the size of Castle Hill.
well, that room you mean.
That room.
I mean the whole thing. The whole
Whole thing.
overall looks quite large.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. We'll go to the training area. And then, so lots of equipment that we can play with.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So we have to, oh, Brad, thanks for finding this place for us.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, thank you.
And then there's a couple of bathrooms down the hall right there. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Come on in. And we'll do the paperwork afterwards.
Alan went to the wrong one.
He went to the wrong one, what?
Pathway to Fitness.
He went to the old location?
Yeah, he went to the one that's further that way.
Huh.
We were supposed to.
It's okay.
Doing masks.
No, there's no one else in the gym. So for now, this is just us. We can stay pretty far apart.
Just see if I can restore Alan.
He's a smart boy. He'll figure it out. If you would have clicked on the link in the, you would have got here. On the, which one called? On the Sign Up Genius?
I did. You mean in terms of confirmation?
For him to get here. Like, he should have just, I don't know how he ended up at the old location.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna send them messaging.
So Alan's lost in the matrix.
Hold on.
Okay, let me turn the camera down just a little bit more. Okay. We can chat for a little bit while we wait for Alan to show up. So, as you can tell by my backdrop, I'm in a new location. So, I'm not in my house or my girlfriend's house. So, we do have a place to use in the meantime. So, whenever you feel ready to venture into class, I sent an email last night about how to sign up. Right now, we're going to try to keep it to about 10 students plus me. And we'll just see how that works in the space and what happens and what unfolds with the city regulations and stuff like that. And then there's a whole bunch of guidelines that I sent out as well. Try to read that. I don't really want to go over it. But there is a waiver that Michelle wants us to sign about using the space. So you only have to sign it once. So just whenever you come in physically, I'll try to get a copy of it so I can email it to you guys and you can sign it. Or there'll be physical copies here that you can sign. And I think in the next day or two, I'll do a pretty good little video walkthrough of the whole space. I just forgot my webcam, so this camera is kind of hard to work with. Training wise, any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about? Anything I need to know about with practice? Everyone's super, super quiet today.
Congratulations on the new place, Stephen.
Yeah, hopefully this works out well for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
will it always be limited to 10 people, or is it just being limited because of the coronavirus right now?
Mostly right now for the coronavirus. Yeah.
Hey, Steven.
Yes.
So I'm almost out of GS1 and I just ordered some. I don't know if it'll come in time, but are there any concerns of me practicing like one practice without it?
Don't train too hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I would still rub your belly as if you were putting it on, because the process of actually rotating your hands across your belly actually does something. So on top of what the herbs do. So the herbs have their function, and then the moving the circles has its function as well. So at least rub the circles 36 times, even if you don't have herb.
Okay. And eyes closed or open? I've been just kind of feeling that out every practice.
For the rubbing the circles,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the training part, when you're actually stimulating your belly, eyes are always open for that.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Usually I'll let people who just start, when they're starting to figure things out a little bit and finding the spots, I'll allow them to kind of close their eyes for a moment while they're just kind of navigating, their body in a new way. But ultimately I'll make the correction to where it's like eyes need to be open. So at the very, very beginning, the first class or two, it makes sense like why they want to close their eyes. So they're trying to like integrate the meditation, where they're thinking and all these different pieces. So it makes sense why they want to close their eyes, but ultimately we need to make the correction. Because we do want the eyes open. Cool. Bill, how you doing over there? You ready for a new meditation?
Sure.
Or
You want it?
have you been doing the thigh with the board already?
I've just still been doing the bag. I've done the board a couple of times, and I felt like I needed to stick with the bag, or I was just not doing the board very vigorously.
It takes a while to grow into that board. So better just go ahead and switch into it and just do what you can and be patient.
Okay, just don't go with much vigor.
Yeah. Kind of like we only need 1 week of the beanbag before moving into the board. But a lot of people want to build up and get really strong on the bag and then move into the board. But that doesn't change how you relate to the bag. To the board. So, traditionally or modernly, when we started doing this practice, when people went to the wood block, you're supposed to do it with the shirt down for a week. And I just found it to be really counterproductive because people would get this false confidence of like, oh, it doesn't sting and I can go really hard. And then as soon as they take their shirt off, it's just like, you're right back to where you were anyways. So might as well just start with the shirt off and be very, very gentle and work your way into it.
So then that brings a question. So I've been doing it in shorts.
Okay.
Stay with shorts, try to do it on skin, when I move if I quit using the bag, stop the bag. What should I do?
Mix it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe at the beginning you can wear blue jeans or pants, and then some days you can wear thinner pants, some days you can do bare skin, because it's going to ease you into it. So I don't want you to, feel too much torture at the very beginning. So
I was back to bruising and stuff, and pretty sore the first couple of times I did it. So I kind of thought maybe I should back off to the bag. But anyway, I got it. I'll just back off down with the board.
Yeah, because the difference between the bag and the board is the bean bag goes a little deeper, so it's easy to go a little hard and get more bruising. Versus when you go to the board, it stings. You're not going to go very hard, and so it's just a different kind of bruising. It's more like the little tiny capillaries on the skin bruising versus like deep muscle bruise. So. Nice. Let's see. Eric, you got any questions? You doing the one-person brick still?
Yeah, still doing one-person brick.
Okay. I'll send an email out for everybody, who is open to doing the 2-person practice and get you some 2-person practice in soon. So basically, you can, when the next time you get a chance to practice, and with 2-person, move to 2-person. You're going to go to the
All right.
side. But if you can't find someone to work with, then still do some 1-person practice, because that's better than doing nothing.
Okay.
Deidre, question? I can't hear you. You're not muted, but I hear no sound. Uh-oh, maybe. Try now. Still nothing. Anybody else have a question while they figure out their technical difficulties?
Or maybe Deidre could use the chat box.
Oh, that's true too.
You can read it out. Oh, there we go. She's already on it.
Oh, I think she's trying to text me, but I don't know what phone is.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
What do you want me to do as far as
Ooh.
2-person with the back, with the bean dog?
Yeah, feedback.
So you can have Brad or your son, just instead of you hitting down, up, down, you can have them do it for you. It's really still not about the intensity of going hard like torso and some of the other levels. It's more about just getting the energy to flow. But because we've had start, stop with your practice, I want a little bit more of a foundation with some consistency before going into the next piece, because it is a little bit more challenging. So, so I just kind of want you to ground yourself in your practice. Adding the 2-person can allow you to go just a tiny bit deeper without adding too much, something different. And then we'll ease into the next phase. Make sense? Cool. Anybody else? Any questions? Alan, you got any questions?
As a matter of fact, no, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I did.
Rosemary, any questions?
None that would pertain to Vickers, would be more just my personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is there to talk about? Kelly, question?
Oh my God. Sorry. I had to update Zoom and now I can't log on to Zoom and I'm having I have major problems right now. How do I get more of the tincture?
I have 1 bottle left. I just put an order in to get more, so they'll mail it to me. You can always just call them and they can mail it to you.
Okay.
I don't know if
where-
it's open back up yet, but I can pass their information along.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. Email is probably the best way, I think. So, yeah, I'll give you the. Anybody else?
I had a question about the lineage and just the origin of Golden Shield and where it kind of diverged from the practice that was kind of the predecessor. Just kind of curious about the history of that.
We don't know too much. At some point, we know it came through a temple, and potentially it might have come through a nun. We're not for sure. We've heard that a little bit. But Dr. Zhang only knows his teacher and knows about his teacher's teacher specifically. And then, oh, there's a mosquito in here. That's what keeps biting me. Shit. Like, damn. So his teacher only taught 19 students, and his teacher only taught 2 students. So that's as far up as we know within the lineage. For the most part, we're being taught very similar to how Dr. John went through it, other than the intensity is toned down dramatically. And traditionally, they did legs first. Dr. John wanted us to do a golden shield first, because he wanted us to feel the value of this practice. And traditionally, it was tied into martial arts. All the other 18 who studied with Master Yang were really into the martial arts. So unfortunately, I don't have much more information than that, other than some random stories about Master Yang and Master Bo. And some torture stories that Dr. John talked about, and, like what he had to do for head sealing and stuff like that versus what we do, he had to bite onto a piece of leather and then tie the string around his neck and then run at this gigantic stone thing and ram it with his head. We have it very easy nowadays. But the idea is we still have the function and a lot of the abilities that they developed out. So the essence is still there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Hunt, any questions? Still breaking tiles easily?
Just once a week, like you said, unless you want me to go more.
Oh, I did get an answer from Dr. Jung in regards to what you're experiencing. And his main adjustment was find a way to position your head while doing the practice that doesn't cause
it. I guess if you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same result, right?
Right. So when you're doing the practice, when you're with the bottle, there's usually a little bit of head movement. So keep the head in one position and find a position that when you're doing it, it doesn't cause what you're experiencing. But most likely it's what you didn't want to put attention to in the lumbar. It kind of points to that. But if we can adjust the head, it might not allow that to happen.
All right.
So you can go a little lighter and focus on just positioning your head a certain way and then see if it doesn't light it up.
Okay, now what about the tiles now?
You can still break whenever you want. Just don't do more than we've done together. So we've done half tile.
But not any more than what we've done.
You can do a half tile and you can do a full tile. Just don't stack them yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Save that for when I see you.
All right. Got it.
Experience.
Sure.
I was training with the stick-handed torso, and I was hitting my lower back. I could feel some of the hits. I could feel the fascia on my gums, like pulling and stretching. So I thought that was really interesting. That so much had opened up that it was actually stretching in that area, and I was stretching the fascia there.
Yeah, I mean the fascia definitely is connected that way, and so is the meridian. So that's neat that you can sense, that little change. Cool. Okay. Let's see, what else? I started 3 new students on Saturday, so that was kind of cool. So they came to the house and we got started outside because of social distancing. So it was a Qigong guy from the very, I think the second class that ever started. And he got through Golden Shield and halfway through torso, halfway through hands, and halfway through legs, and got into a bad accident and had to put everything on pause. But his kids grew up around it. So his oldest is like 21 in college, but home, and then the other one's like a senior in high school, 17. And so they've always known about it, and they're kind of ready to follow in their dad's footsteps and do some Qigong. So it's kind of neat teaching, younger generation kids. So cool. That's kind of fun. Okay, let's just do a meditation. Yeah, I know. You get it? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put everybody on mute and then we can get started. Okay. So let's see how it feels meditating in this new location. Right now, I can tell you it's much quieter than Castle Hill, but there's a lot of echo. So just close your eyes, place your hands over lower dantian or on your thighs, palms down. Rest the tip of your tongue to where it touches the roof of your mouth, just behind your front upper teeth. And just bring your mind inside the body. Gather all the pieces of your mind that spread out in so many different directions. And just be present in the moment inside your body. You can imagine a string attached to the top of your head and it's lifting up towards the ceiling. So feel your spine lengthen. Imagine yourself getting taller and taller with each breath. Feel space opening up between each vertebra. And just with your next breath, follow it all the way down into lower dantian. You can see a crystal ball just behind your navel, about the size of an orange, allowed to get brighter and fuller with each breath. And let's add to this energy in lower dantian by taking in 3 morning suns. So just imagine a beautiful, bright, white morning sun off in the horizon. See it, feel it, connect to it. Use your mind and pull the sun to you. Feel it hovering right above the top of your head. Mind tells the chi to open the Bach point. Inhale, allow the sun to melt into a liquid light and pour straight down into lower dantian. We create a second morning sun, bigger and brighter than the first. Pull it to you. Feel the warmth all over your body. Inhale, let it melt and pour straight down into lower dantian. We can close the Bach point. Lower dantian, very full, very bright, very powerful. Let's take some of this energy from lower dantian and shine it straight up into your sternum, brightening your breastbone. And just feel this light spread through all the bones in your rib cage. Spreading through your collarbones and ribs. Feel it wrap around and feed into your spine. brightening up each and every vertebra, up and down your spine, through the vertebrae of your neck. Beautiful, bright, white, strong, powerful bones. Feeding into the base of your skull and spreading through all the cranial bones in your head. To your eye sockets and forehead and sinuses, upper and lower jaws, and filling in your teeth. You can imagine each tooth is like a plastic bag filling up with warm water, getting fuller and fuller with each breath. Then we release the light down into your shoulder joints. Feel it flow down your arms. To your elbows and forearms. Flowing all the way down to your hands and fingers. And continuing down into your low back, feeling it spread through your sacrum and tailbone, into your pelvis. Hip joints. Down the long bones of your thigh, brightening up your knee joints. Lower legs, all the way down into your ankles, heels, feet, and toes. So we're using the energy from lower dantian to brighten up all the bones in the entire body. Make sure every single bone is glowing bright white, strong and powerful. Still feel that you're being lifted by that string from the top of your head. And now just imagine yourself sitting in a beautiful pine tree forest, surrounded by magnificent longevity pine trees that are thousands of years old. And you can feel the sun shining through the pine needles onto your skin. You can smell the scent of pine in the air. Very ancient and powerful longevity pine trees. or they can be any other type of longevity trees, redwoods, cypress, just something that has long life. You can feel very open and connected to nature and to the sun, to the trees. We can tune into the longevity signal of the pine trees. And if your mind wanders off, just bring it back to the moment. You can even link into the lineage and to the masters that came before. And just start to bring your awareness back to lower dantian once again. This time we can place a beautiful golden full moon. And just take a few inhales, drawing in your energy from around the outside of the body and guiding it to the full moon in lower dantian. And just whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And just relax your mind. Okay. Any comments, questions, experiences?
I have a wee story to share.
Yay.
Woohoo! Last week I was roasting squash, 450-degree Fahrenheit oven. I didn't open the door properly. So when I reached in, the side of my arm, it's like the skin was seared right off. And it's like, there it is, like flapping on the door. And I was like, but it really was nothing. I mean, it was like not that big a deal, which is awesome. Anyway, so I kind of like plucked the skin right off and I was like, oh, well, and just tossed it onto the squash. I know I'm so feral, but did you see The Golden Child?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Eddie Murphy, he gets the Ajanti dagger like carved into his skin by that evil bloke?
Yeah.
Well, this is the Ajanti like pocket knife, basically what it looks like. But it's so cool. And I was thinking, oh my God, like here I am. I'm like the laziest cunt ever. And I never really practice yet, right? I will be. But imagine when I start practicing, I could probably just stick my arm against that oven and it should be almost like nothing. I'm so excited now. That was such a good incentive because I'm like, what trouble can I get in once I'm done with hands? It's going to be so exciting.
Oh, no. Don't think that way.
But it was really cool to experience that.
Well,
Just the relax, like my body was just so relaxed about it. And it really was, considering 450 degrees and all that, it's a really cool experience to have that. And like, really, I have not been training consistently. So it's really cool.
no, there's really something about what you just said about being relaxed in that piece of allowing just the experience to be the experience versus making it much, much worse.
Yeah.
A lot of times we make experiences much, much worse by just getting in our own way. So it's like, ow, you burned yourself. There's not much you can do about it. Okay, relax.
Right.
Feel fast.
There was people around me that were like, oh my God, what the hell? I was like, don't worry about it. I got Qigong on my side. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, so I have a sailor's mouth and I apologize to everyone for the C word. So in my mind, like I toss that around like it's like nothing. So I do apologize. I realize I use the C word and it's recorded. So you're welcome if your children watch it.
I think everyone's over 18, so they're good.
Oh, you're all used to me by now? All right, no, but I do apologize and thank you. Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Stephen. It's really cool.
Cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, Stephen, Aaliyah, thank you for sharing that. I had
You're
a
welcome.
similar one, and I do appreciate Qigong, how it slows everything down, and it is just real chill. I fell from a loft kind of high, and there's that moment where everything freezes, and you go think like, all right, sweet, this time I'm gonna land. And then when you just hit a big pillow, right? You don't feel anything, but then you look around, and then about 3 pieces of furniture were destroyed, and I had one chair like, I don't know, a leg popped off, but you don't feel any of it. And then you look around, it's like, oh, sweet. And then you get up and you brush yourself off, and it's super chill. And I know Qigong is thankful that we have that force field around us. Still be careful. Be careful with ovens.
Yeah, definitely be careful. But if there's accidents, then it's nice to have the Qigong on our side. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have so many countless stories about, falling, and luckily that she was there to help. The last one that just really stands out in my mind was when I was doing some remodeling in my back of my house, and it was on a ladder with a big rectangular window, and I wasn't centered in the window frame, and the window started sinking. I mean, the ladder started sinking in the mud, so I fell off the ladder with the window on my hand. I landed like right on my knees, right on my deck. And it just happened to be kind of right in timing with when we just started doing this new advanced leg training where we were doing something very similar. So window didn't break. I didn't hurt anything. It was a little scary. I was just like, I don't want to break this window. So yeah, things worked out.
you have any advice? Do you have any advice for tracking our energetic progression with our chi cultivation, like while in quarantine or in isolation? Because it felt like I'm physically able to hit harder, but I'm not really able to sense like I was growing much chi. And I didn't know if that's just because we were not training in the group and that slowed down the actual cultivation, and that's what I was sensing, or if it's just.
Yeah, it just seems like you just kind of plateaued and ready to move to the next stage. So,
Okay.
yeah. Anybody else? Okay, well, if you guys are up for it, you guys should do some training, and we'll check back in on Wednesday. Okay, I'll see you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad, for the space.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah.